Ever since the Hangar business was released in GTA Online, it has been somewhat useless. The missions were pretty tedious and the payouts weren't that good, particularly when compared to heists within the game such as the Cayo Perico as well as the Diamond Casino heist, which generally is where most people go for if they're looking to make money. However, after the most recent Los Santos Drug Wars DLC, the payouts for the Hangar missions were increased. But this wasn't just a small 25% increase, the payouts were tripled, and it's going to last forever. So in this video, we are going through everything that you need to know about the Hangar business, from how to start it to some beginner tips, and also how to maximize payouts within the business. But before we do get into the video, if you're looking to skip all of this where you need to put the work in to make money, you could always just use MMOGA. MMOGA is a great place for you to find discount game codes as well as discounted in-game currencies, and this does include the GTA Online shark cards. Now you can do what most people do, which is buy shark cards within game, but with it comes a fairly hefty price. Now you can use MMOGA where you'll be able to get a discounted shark card for half the price but still get the exact same amount of money within the in-game currency. Or you could do what I do, which is just double up, so you get twice as much for the exact same price. So if you really want to get a head start, there is a link in the description down below. Getting back into today's video. When purchasing a hangar within GTA Online, you've got 4 different locations. But in a lot of ways, the cheapest option at 1.2 million is probably the best. Bear in mind that they all do the exact same thing. The only difference is the location. And even though the cheapest option isn't necessarily the one which is the best location, but for the overall price, it's not too bad. With that said, many missions within the hangar business will involve you flying outside of the city, which does mean having a hangar within the city isn't particularly useful. The best location is Fort Zancudo. With some of the missions that you'll go through, it's just a case of leaving the airport and heading straight up above you, where you'll be able to initiate the mission itself. It really doesn't take too long to get to the location. But do bear in mind that really with these hangars, no matter which one you choose, it is only down to the location itself, whether it being closer or further away from the mission objectives. But you also need to remember that the mission objectives, they're going to be random. You don't get to choose exactly what mission plays out and the way that it does. You'll select what you want within the laptop, and then it's random on what type of mission Rockstar will give to you. So it could be the case that you set up a location within Fort Zancudo and you will be able to get a mission which is miles away, where you potentially would have been better off just taking the cheaper option. So long story short, it really doesn't matter. Select the one which you can afford, knowing that you do still have some money left over. But whichever one you first buy into, of course, when you head over for the very first time, there's going to be a cutscene. This cutscene lasts about 5 minutes, but once done, you can now head over to your office, where, just like many businesses, you'll be able to find your laptop. This is where you need to start doing the initial setup missions. And as part of buying into this business, you will be given a free Cuban 800 plane upon purchasing the hangar itself. It is a pretty poor plane, but still, it's something free and we gotta highlight it. But once the setup missions are done, you're pretty much good to go. So let's actually talk about how you make money from this. And it's a pretty simple concept. You'll head over to your laptop similar to what you did with the setup missions, but now you're going to pick the supplies you want to source. Whatever you select here, it will give you a mission, and the mission itself is about going to a location, doing something in particular, and retrieving supplies. Those supplies will then be taken back to your hangar, and then later, once you've built up enough, you can choose to sell these supplies, which is the exact same concept as what we have gone through before with the vehicle warehouse. The only difference now is instead of stealing a vehicle, you're stealing supplies. But how much money can you actually make from doing this? So before the most recent Los Santos Drug Wars update, a single supply would sell for $10,000. But as payouts have now permanently been tripled by Rockstar, this means that one supply will now sell for $30,000, which is a significant improvement. But we should also say that doing this isn't necessarily a walk in the park. There are some missions which are fairly challenging. especially if you're going through this without any upgrades. Now, when you first purchase the Hangar, there will be upgrade options. You normally have cosmetics. This will be the lighting, floor graphics, and office furniture. And to be honest, these are completely useless. Unless you're making millions within GTA Online already, you've already bought into every other business, then honestly, I would skip this. Another upgrade that you can buy into is the living quarters, which yet again, for most players, it is pointless. This will cost 235,000 and will allow you to set your hangar as your living quarters, which means you can set it as your spawn location. But in all honesty, it isn't really necessary. But what is definitely worth it, and I recommend everyone to be buying into this is of course the workshop. But unfortunately, it does come in at a fairly steep price of $1.15 million. Now, that might sound expensive, but you're probably going to be able to make that money back. Without this upgrade, you will not have the ability to upgrade any of your air vehicles. This includes installing armor, countermeasures, and also missiles. So at some point, you're really going to want to purchase this, and if you did get this upgrade, you can improve the armor, you can better equip weapons, you can also make sure that you're not going to be attacked as easily. It's going to save you a lot of money, especially if this is a business that you are constantly grinding. So with all of that, let's actually get into the best way to make money. When sourcing supplies, you can honestly pick whatever type of supply you want to source. Now, the standard sell price for each supply is identical. However, certain supplies have bonuses that apply once you have a certain amount of that supply stored in your hangar. For example, once you have 5 counterfeit goods out of the maximum of 50, it will get a 5% sell bonus. This allows you to sell 5 counterfeit goods for 157,000, which obviously is 5% more than just selling each of these 5 supplies separately. But this bonus just gets better and better. Every 5 supplies the bonus increases, the bonus percentage will be the number of supplies that you have stored in your hangar. For example, if you have 25 out of 50 counterfeit good supplies, you'll be able to get a 25% payout bonus. 2 of the 8 supply types have 5% sell bonuses for every 5 supplies. This is the counterfeit goods and tobacco and alcohol. For animal materials, art, antiques, jewelry, and gemstones, you will get a 12% bonus for every 10 supplies stored in a hangar. It's worth noting that the maximum amount of supplies is 50 for all different categories. The final 3 types of supplies are narcotics, chemicals, and medical supplies, which will reward you with a 35% payout for every 25 supplies stored in your hangar. So now that we've gone over the amount of money that can be earned from each type of supply, you're probably wondering what is the best supplies to sell. And if we're purely going off 50 out of 50, then narcotics, chemicals, and medical supplies will reward the highest payout of $2,550,000. However, this isn't necessarily the best option. By selling 50 supplies, you're going to have 3 vehicles. Unless you have other people which can help you, you should probably avoid this. This does mean if you are a solo player and you just want 1 vehicle, you're going to want to sell a max of 10 supplies each time. This means that the best type of supply to actually sell changes based on those percentages that we just mentioned. You are going to want to go for animal materials, art and antiques, and jewelry and gemstones. This will give you a payout of $336,000 and will just make use of 1 vehicle. So the best way to make money really comes down into the position that you're in. If you are going into an invite only session, maybe, just maybe if you're quick enough, you could do a free vehicle sell delivery, but for that you need to be insanely quick. And in all honesty, I don't think it's worth it. For most players, it's worth sticking with. For most players, if you're playing solo, you might as well just do the 10 supplies. It's much lower risk. Only do the maximum sells when you have other people to play with. Now, when you complete any of these source missions to gather supplies, there is a slight cooldown, but really it's not too much. And the cool thing is that because they're based in categories, with you being able to find more than just 1 type of supply type, which gives the exact same bonus, it does mean that you can go back and forth as long as you stay within that group. So for example, you could do a narcotics supply mission, come back, notice that there's a cooldown for that, then go over to do chemicals chemicals, complete that mission, you'll then have a cooldown for chemicals, and if you want to, you can go back to narcotics or you can go to do medical supplies. Choice is entirely up to you. It's just applied to the individual supplies that you manage to steal. And that does mean that you can constantly be bringing in supplies 24/7, ready for you to do sell missions and make a fairly decent amount of money. It's still not the most profitable business within the game, but it's definitely worth doing. Anyway, that is absolutely everything that you need to know about the GTA Online Hangar business. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn how to make money out of the import and export business whilst playing solo, then I highly recommend clicking that next video on screen. That video will go through the ins and outs of absolutely everything that you need to do and share the secret tips that the top 1% players don't tell you. So click that video and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.